brother down with Shizzy, Wiz, Nut.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. Open letter to Paint Chip. From convicted con man to keyboard crybaby, the death rattle of a disbarred loser. Dear Paint Chip, it's truly impressive how someone who once played inmate charades with mobsters and cried conspiracy through the bars of a federal prison can now find the time, between begging judges for leniency and fantasizing about Bubba's bunk, to crawling out of your digital crypt begging for relevance, like a mangy dog pawing at the back door of legitimacy, or at the back door of something else. And now you've waddled into federal court with a 22-page wine fest sobbing that someone on the internet's hurt your feelings. Boo fucking who. It's the legal equivalent of lighting your hair on fire while screaming, "I'm a serious man." Let's get this out of the way. No one's calling you what Dinesh allegedly did. That's your hill to die on, not mine, but pretending that you're some beacon of First Amendment virtue is a hilarious plot twist coming from the same guy who's been sanctioned, convicted, imprisoned, and disbarred. You're less a journalist and more a delusional scribbler with a vendetta, a Substack, and a really bad habit of calling everyone else mentally damaged while filing 80-page hissy fits like a little bitch. Let's be real. This lawsuit isn't a cry for justice. It's a bloated, like you are, laughable, like you are, rage diaper, from a man who hasn't been able to get anyone to take him seriously since he asked for a judge to have trial by combat. What kind of moron does that? Well, you're not a victim, Paint Chip. You're a one-man dumpster fire of narcissism, projection, and legal masturbation. If desperate self-aggrandizement were a tort, you'd owe yourself treble damages. You want $5 million in reputation damages. Bro, your reputation is less than zero. You nuked it years ago and then salted the earth with your own idiocy. Sort of like you salt everything else. You're a convicted federal felon who now plays pretend journalist on Substack because no actual outlet would let you clean their toilets, let alone publish an op-ed, because they're so full of shit. You've got more sealed indictments and restraining orders behind your name than legitimate bylines. And here you are, waving around Florida's death penalty statute like a cheap prop, gasping that someone called you the P word. Your complaint is a greatest hits album of projection. You whine that you've been unfairly smeared, yet your own resume reads like a cautionary tale. And let's just revisit some of the Paint Chip origin story, shall we? You literally pleaded guilty to fraud and kidnapping conspiracy, then tried to revoke your plea years later by claiming that you were tortured and had PTSD, only to then pivot to pretending you're a victim of a TikTok personality. If irony were fatal, you'd be a chalk outline. And that, I don't think there's enough chalk in the planet to outline that body of orbit that just sucks. You once argued in court that you should be allowed to trial by combat. Then that's not bravado. That's someone who ate a bowl of lead-based cereal with expired milk. You're the same guy who called your critics fake lawyers, filed bogus legal threats, and now thinks anyone who challenges you must be working for Beijing Soros, or George Hales. At this point, the only person not named in your lawsuits is the Hamburglar. And I'm sure that you would eat him if he was. And let's talk about these victims of Dinesh Coalition you've desperately tried to launch. What's the entry requirement? Being mildly embarrassed online? Grow up. You weren't thrown off a roof. Well, maybe you were. I mean, mother would have swallowed, we wouldn't have this issue. You got roasted in a blog post. It's not defamation. It's a digital wedgie. You screamed that Dinesh is a foreign agent, that he causes suicides, and that he's out here single-handedly subverting democracy using TikTok. The fact that this got filed in a federal court and not a live journal diary is a damning indictment of the entire judiciary spam filter. Your own filing manages to simultaneously call Dinesh mentally unfit while citing his wife's mental records as some kind of twisted character evidence. It's just not legally irrelevant. It's cruel, sleazy, and a peek into the moral pit that you inhabit. This isn't advocacy, Paint Chip. It's revenge porn for disbarred egomaniacs. Oh, and let's not forget the cherry on top, your Marcy's Law victim statement, complete with trembling handwriting and crocodile tears, as if the world owes you a hug and a cookie because your feelings got hurt on the internet. You're not a victim, Paint Chip. You're a 45-car pileup of self-inflicted embarrassment who thinks shouting treble damages will restore your lost dignity. You're trying to legally monetize your own panic attack, Paint Chip. That's not bravery. It's a masterclass in performative cowardice. You're like if Jussie Smollett learned how to file PACER documents. Your attempt to sue your way back into relevance won't work. You can't draft pleadings in crayon, scream libel at anyone with a phone, and LARP as a Florida journalist all you want. It won't change the fact that every court that's encountered you, state, federal, the bar, or otherwise, has come to the same conclusion. You are not a serious person. Even your own filings contradict themselves. Calling yourself a Florida journalist one second and sobbing that you're not a public figure the next. You want constitutional protection for your speech, but you're going to cry foul when someone else uses theirs. You want to silence people who call you names, but launched a scorched earth crusade against Jeremy Hales. The anti-What the Hell's crew joined in, and everyone who didn't hand you a participation trophy for surviving federal prison. And don't think we forgot, this is the same man who created a fake Facebook account to frame someone, tried to subpoena the feds with fantasy evidence and playing dungeons and depositions in front of real judges like it was a Renaissance fair. You're the only man alive who thinks being mocked on TikTok is more unjust than your own racketeering charge. In fact, you're one bad blog post away from suing WebMD for hurting your feelings with an obesity diagnosis. Let me be clear. If Dinesh defamed you, fight that in court. But let's not pretend that your motivations are noble. This isn't about justice. This is about your bruised ego, your obsession with relevance, and your undying desire to be feared again. Here's the bad news, Paint Chip. No one's scared of you anymore. You're not a mob consigliere. You're not a First Amendment martyr. You're not even a lawyer. You're just a disbarred clown with a keyboard and a martyr complex, suing your way into oblivion one tantrum at a time. Here's the truth, Richard. You're not feared. You're not respected. You're not interesting to anyone anymore. You're a grotesque curiosity, like a greasy. When I say greasy, we're talking about dripping with grease from each and every one of your pores figure of Roy Cohn stuffed in a G.I. Joe suit with a law degree made of toilet paper. You don't deserve a jury trial. You deserve a court-appointed therapist and a permanent ban from LexisNexis. So file your nonsense, serve your sock puppets, scribble another 70-page tantrum into federal record, but understand this. You will never be taken seriously again. Not by the courts, not by the public, and definitely not by the people you keep trying to bully into silence. Hey, you want a headline, Paint Chip? Well, here it is. Convicted fraudster sues TikTok guy for ruining reputation that was already buried in a federal prison shithole. History won't remember you as a martyr. They'll remember you as a punchline. Now, go cry about it on Substack. Again, bitch. Sincerely, Shizzy Wiznut, bully, branded, unbothered, aka the dude whose name you can't seem to spell still.
It is about time. Let's break this mother down.